MAME Games.
Hello, and welcome to another part of the All Killer No Filler Top List Alternatives. I did the first part of this the other day and explained the general principle of it. I'm looking at games that aren't on the All Killer No Filler Top List that you can find on sites like Arcade Controls. There are various reasons for that. Some games just get overlooked, others don't meet their criteria, but there are a fair few that are definitely worth checking out and plenty that aren't, and I'm going to cover a variety of those on this. And thank you, Ryan, for the 200 Swedish krona there. It's good to see you. How are you doing? Yeah, the usual chipping towards the booze and board fun. Divide it how I wish. I will. I've still got a bit of watermelon vodka for this stream. So I'll be drinking that one for now. Yes, my booze supplies are running a little low, but let's pretend they're not. It's Friday night, and I'm here to play some games. So, right, the game I've got on the screen at the moment is Kaneko's Explosive Breaker, which I already know is sort of a mid-tier game, but it's worth checking out anyway. So let's switch views. Turn the volume back up a little bit. It's quite loud, this one, I think. Full screen it. And put in a coin. Oh, you've got some Swedish Renat, or however you pronounce it. That's probably incorrect, isn't it? Vodka for the weekend yourself. Yes, vodka's always a good choice, I think. Mixes well with most things as well. So, got a selection of 6 ships, which is quite impressive actually for a game like this. And they've all got their own sort of characteristics. So, let's give it a coin up and play. I have coined it up, haven't I? Now, the main thing you notice with this game immediately is it's absolutely all over the place. There seems to be no coherent design to it whatsoever. This autofire might help here. Has the autofire plug-in turned on? Hold on. Let's actually give myself an autofire key on this one, because otherwise it's a slam the button game, and that's not ideal. Okay, so right, yeah, they do like to use the row scroll effect in places. Alternate lines in that case. Kaneko did make good use of effects from time to time, and again, I think this is probably created as maybe some sort of learning how the hardware works project for one of the teams, and so they've put in effects like that because. Well, you'll see, this has got all sorts of things in space that really don't belong in space, and I don't think any of it's ever explained in either the English version or the Japanese version. Yes, it's a bit of a weird game, Carlo. Yeah, it's quite bad pre-rendered graphics. Some of it's not pre-rendered. I don't think the player ships are pre-rendered, but a lot of the bigger enemies, well, some of them are clearly sort of scanned or digitized as well. I mean, we'll see. Look, here is a giant space helicopter for no reason. I mean, you see all the space helicopter memes, but this is, this is one of the prime examples of, space helicopter makes perfect sense because helicopters work in space, don't they? Yeah, that doesn't belong in space. And Parodius, Parodius has plenty of things in space, but Parodius, you can tell it's intentionally meant to be funny. This is like now the space helicopter's turned into a space demon. What? Maybe the humour here is just much more dry than Parodius. What we got now? This looks more like it belongs in space. Again, lots of nice little effects before the bullets fly out there. You don't see that on many games. It's almost like it's charging its shots, even the minor shots. Fairly bland background though. Everything breaks into multiple parts, and now we've got another ship with somebody's face in it. It's one of those that is a bit out there, and that's probably the appeal of this one, really. I mean, it doesn't play too bad. The controls are responsive, but it's, aside from being completely wacky, it's not overly memorable. Autofire definitely helps, believe me, otherwise you're mashing on the fire button on this one. With autofire it's more relaxing. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty going on. It does have a bit of slowdown later from memories, but it still runs at a fair pace. It's not like, say, Sand Scorpion that slows down at every moment. Is it just me? Do these where the explosions have happened, look a bit like roses? I'm sort of getting Pink Sweets flashbacks. Oh dear. In fact, even the way the explosion's over the top there and it goes out in different directions, it reminds me of Pink Sweets, which is probably not one of Cave's best games, to be fair. But, if you played Pink Sweets, it all feels a bit overdone. Yeah, my usual I can't play shooters because I've not warmed up is coming into play. So what's it say on the bottom? Dragonfly? Okay. What's Dragonfly then? Oh look, we've got a space helicopter again. But now it's themed like a dragonfly. We've got two of them. Ninja Baseball Batman is on the actual list of best games, so it doesn't get included in this stream. If I do a stream where I actually just look at the games that are on that list, or an unthemed stream, then I could cover Ninja Baseball Batman, but I can't cover it on these streams because it is on the list I'm avoiding covering games from. Again, we've got an aircraft that is now... Nothing fits together in that. It's not just the things that don't belong in space. It's just like, why? What's the theme here? There's something you wanted to let me know, Ryan. Okay, go ahead. But yeah, Ninja Baseball Batman is one I would like to cover, but I'll have to do it in a different stream. If I'm doing an unthemed stream like the one where I looked at the Contrafix yesterday, I could potentially do something like Baseball Batman 2. But yeah, I mean, this... I don't think this is a bad shooter. It's plays well. Once you get over the fact it's just... I'm not seeing any additional message from you, even in the censored for admin to approve, Ryan. So it's definitely been censored by higher level YouTube than anything I'm seeing, if there was meant to be a subsequent message there. Here we've got a jet fighter in space. I'm still dying. It's dropping bombs as a jet fighter would. Like I say, I think it's probably meant to be humorous. The humour is just very dry compared to parodious. You wish to reword it. Okay, I mean, if it's not urgent, you can always post it on Twitter and I can check it after the stream. So I think I'll be streaming for about 2 hours today. Okay. Yeah, the V-Smile might help. Yeah, I mean, especially some of the audio things. I think there's still quite a few audio issues, little ones. So, I think for most simplest reverse engineering at this point, you'd want to have maybe one of the GPO 16250 ones, like maybe a Mobigo. It depends on the game main fan. I mean, some games let you have more bullets on screen at once than others. So if you end up like one on one off, you just end up spamming all your bullets at once and you don't get a nice smooth rate of flow. So I usually start with 2 on 2 off, which isn't letting me fire constantly in this, but isn't too bad. But sometimes like you just drop it down depending on the game and how it feels to play. I mean, some games won't properly respond to 1 on 1 off either. They're looking for, you know, buttons that are held for more than one frame. Yes, would be a good one to test, Ryan. I kind of wonder if maybe it's just any access to the I/O device clocks it, rather than a timer. There are definitely some odd issues with the emulation. I mean, Mortal Kombat always gives the same 2 characters in the track mode for ages until it decides not to, and then it's fine. I'm not really sure what's going on with that one. Though I'm not even sure that's random number related, because maybe it's something in the code. It's a very odd one, that. I've even tried initializing memory to random numbers and it doesn't change a thing. Does make you wonder how many other little issues there might. Yeah, I'm doing quite badly now. Now this is where the game is getting a little bit stuttery at times, which isn't helping. I don't really know why, because there's not really much more going on. It sort of starts and stops a little bit. Also, I'm dying a lot. Nice little explosions. Kind of remind me of the fireworks on Gallagher 88. But yeah, it definitely help. I'm completely stuck with a lot of the GPL 16250 stuff, like I said there. I mean, that's absolutely stalled. I know the GPL 16250 sound actually should be really easy to hook up, because we've got versions of the family sport things on GPL 16250 and regular hardware, and you can see exactly how the registers have been remapped. So sound shouldn't be too difficult, but the video on the later ones is annoying me. But yeah, even for the earlier ones, it would research would be good too, as you say, the random numbers and stuff like that. But, if you ever want a flashcard for something, I think Team Europe are the ones to talk to, because they made all sorts of flashcards. I mean, they even made one for the... I'm just dying repeatedly now. They even made one for, what's it, the Monon Colour, where we still need a way to get the internal ROM out of it. Unfortunately, I've not worked out how. It seems to have some sort of security checking the code in the ROM. It doesn't let you modify it. But yeah, Team Europe will probably, if they've got a pin out for something, they'll make a flashcard for it. So if you ever want to do tests on stuff and you have a programmer, yeah, talk to Team Europe sometimes. I don't have any kind of programmer for anything. But yeah, this is a strange mix of actual hand-drawn art and pre-rendered stuff, and also explosions, mainly explosions of me dying. But I'll play this until we're 20 minutes into the stream. But yeah, I'd be interested in seeing what results you get from that, Ryan. I mean, also, I don't know exactly what tech level all these different systems are. The boundaries aren't 100% clear. For example, the Speed Racer game is older SPG tech, but it uses the sort of the road mode, the magnification modes that don't seem to be on some of the tech. So I'm not exactly sure which level V-Smile is. Maybe it's the lowest capacity one, or maybe it's one of the middle ones in terms of features. I doubt it's got the road layer stuff. Well, there's magnification stuff that Speed Racer uses for the road, which is a shame, because that's one of the things I really don't understand on that older hardware. The exact algorithm that goes into that shrink zoom, because the road clearly isn't quite right in Speed Racer when you go over the hills and stuff. I couldn't work out a better way to do it. Some of the GPL 16250 games do use that feature too. So it's kind of, you know, the simplest hardware's an evolution like that. There's always different steps of it. Different features that got added over time to the older one, then evolved into the newer one. Big shout out and happy birthday to Queen Margaret II of Denmark. Oh, I'm sure Peter will, if Peter's around, Peter will probably be aware of that too, because Peter, who is assisted with many things, is from Denmark. And I'm just, every time I spawn, I die on this. But you get the idea. We've got something that looks like a dragon transformer robot head now. Yeah, so Explosive Breaker is living up to its name, with my ship exploding many times. I'd say give it a try. It just seemed to just become a bit spammy after a while. You probably have to be better at playing it than I am. But yeah, Explosive Breaker, potentially one that could be on the list, I think. Even if it's completely all over the place with the art styles, it's got that fun factor that you know, you want in a game. Hey Mass Ninja, how you doing? And of course, how you doing, Bob, as well? And how you doing, MAME Fan? It's always good to see you. Thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoy the games that I have to show today. Now, I did merge in a fix that's still a pull request at the last minute from Sasuke Arcade, who's been fixing up some Nichibutsu stuff. In this case, he or they, I don't know if I say he, I should say they because I don't know, have fixed something with Mighty Guy. Some of the sound has been improved in Nichibutsu's Mighty Guy. So let's see how it sounds and if it sounds better. I don't really know what I'm looking for, but I might as well play it anyway. I think I did play this on a previous stream, but you know, why not play it again and see if we can hear any improvements to the audio emulation. Because I do like Nichibutsu's audio, so hearing that there have been improvements is, you know, is one of those positive things. And Sasuke Arcade has actually improved quite a few Nichibutsu things over the years, last year or so. In 2020 there were improvements to the protection related things in Legion and several others, so graphics that get erased more correctly and copied from the other device more correctly. That might be some kind of MCU, that an internal ROM that's not dumped, but it uses a data ROM and it copies graphic time maps and stuff from the data ROM, clears time maps, and the simulation of that was improved last year quite noticeably in some games. The Skyfox improvements were from Sasuke Arcade with the far better Starfield rendering, and now we've got you know, some improvements to Mighty Guy here. I did notice when you jump, you stay in the air until you get over the rock, so you can always fly. Look. Ooh. Got a nice bit of a drum beat here to the music, hasn't it? Quite tribal, which fits the theme. I could really do with my gun back. I don't know why you punch as soon as you respawn. That seems a bit odd. Once you lose your gun, you're in real trouble on this, actually. I beat the high score, though. So yeah, this does actually have really good sound, so sound improvements to it, definitely welcome. I think it was something to do with specific weapons and them not stopping the sound after you use them and things like that, from reading the notes of about the fix and some tempo fixes. So I do like how it sounds. Yeah, that's my gravity-defying flying kick. Woo! Anyway. It's quite useful anyway. So, get kicked. Get kicked. There you are. Now I've got a gun again, that's handy. I don't actually know what I'm doing on this game other than going up and avoiding lots of knives that also defy gravity quite well. Yeah, I do think I played this on a previous stream, but it's worth another visit. Look, since, you know, there's the bug fix as I mentioned, and I'm always, if there's a big bug fix in MAME, then I'm always going to look at it. And Nichibutsu, obviously classic developer, mainly did Mahjong games, but when they weren't doing Mahjong games, they were doing solid shooters and all sorts. I don't know what energy in the corner is, because I don't feel like I've got energy at any point. That's alright, Ryan. I mean, Joe's asking you what you need to know about it. I mean, if you talk, are you talking about the older SPG, Joe? Because it's mainly the newer ones that really lack good information on. I think there might be still some CPU bugs in the newer one, because some games just don't copy any tilemap data to memory at all, and don't seem to be setting up any pointers to, you know, use sort of any ROM tilemap mode that isn't documented there. So I think there are probably still some CPU bugs, and it doesn't seem to be setting DMA anywhere either. So, but other than that, there are definitely things still to look in with the older ones. As I said, the at least the final, you know, the most advanced of the older ones, which Speed Racer uses has the zoom road mode. Although I don't think the V-Smile is going to have that. That's what I was saying if Ryan didn't catch that. And the sound on the later one, but it just looks like the earlier one with remap registers, because you can easily compare the family sport units and see how the sound codes change between the new and old. But, yeah. You worked on the Spider-Man TV game. Yeah, that's the old. That's one of the regular older ones mostly. Although the earliest version of the Spider-Man TV game is SPG 110 rather than the SPG 2 series, and there are some things we don't understand about the oldest SPG 110. Because the older one doesn't use RGB palettes either, it uses some HSV or something like that, and our decoding of that's not correct. It was also used by Classic Pinball, but I know the Spider-Man got ported to the later hardware too, so it might not be. I don't know, if you worked on levels design and stuff, it might be a case of you would have had the docks for the original hardware type. Yeah, if you've got any SPD 110 docks, that would definitely help, because it's not. I mean, it's obviously less capable of hardware, but the differences are annoying enough to mess up our emulation a bit. Yeah, so if you've got SPG 110 docks, then yes, they might be useful, especially if they document the actual palette format and things like that. Get in contact with Ryan, Joe, on Twitter, maybe, or you know, or use the maindev.org contact forms. Anyway, this was Mighty Guy, and yeah, I quite like that one actually. I do like a bit of early Nichibutsu. Right, thank you, Joe. And yeah, I'd say a lot of this stuff is going to help a little bit. We've reverse engineered an awful lot of it, and I managed to get the 110 stuff kind of running just by comparing the newer Spider-Man game, you know, the newer revision on the newer hardware with the older one, and working backwards. But there are definitely things that don't quite make sense, and it's not clear, like the different limitations, how the different I/O ports work. It's always a little bit different. Yeah, I say probably Twitter's better, as Ryan says. Right, so this is Ninja Emaki, which still marked as imperfect protection, but this is one of the ones that I believe was improved when Sasuke Arcade improved them last year. So I thought, well, on a bit of a Nichibutsu run, why not have a look at this one too? So yeah, it's a very menacing title screen, isn't it? The Japanese version does not have a title screen anything like this. This is, for some reason, the title screen they went with for the export version. But yeah, Joe, even the later GPL 16250 work I've done is all mostly by studying the differences between versions of things that were released on both hardware types and then filling in the blanks. It's not been easy, but luckily, say things like the family sport units just really use the GPL 16250 as if it was the older unit with everything remapped, so that gave a good starting point. And they barely used any of the new opcodes either, so it was kind of easy to figure things out. But then with the ones that do use the new features on the later hardware, we've hit kind of a roadblock too. But, so I'm sure we'll work it out eventually. But anything that surfaces at this point that could help probably will help. Hey, Red Hot Mackay, thank you for joining. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, dogs are great too, Ryan. I mean, if you get a Sun Plus dog, Go for it. I mean, even I know there are even newer General Plus platforms like the ARM-based ones that, again, we really have nothing for. But I don't know. There aren't many games on those. But thank you, Joe. I mean, we do it because we enjoy it, so it's always good to know that people appreciate it as well. Yeah, this is a Nichibutsu run and gun, fly and gun early game. Not that early, I mean, it's 80s, but it's a pretty good one actually. Again, one that doesn't really get much coverage. I think probably because it was emulated quite badly for a long time, and the bootlegs aren't very good at all. I mean, one of the bootlegs will crash if you leave it in the track mode for about an hour. And so I think if this was in arcades, that bootleg would have got taken out fairly quickly, so it's probably one most people didn't even get to see. And classic Nichibutsu music though. They really knew how to make these YM chips sound good. That's the name of the emulator. I couldn't quite remember the name of the emulator of on the history hour thing. I know it was Uninium something, but I couldn't ever quite remember what it was called. I'm going backwards here. This is not the direction of travel I wish to be heading. No, I've got to go down, hang on. It's a bit mazy as well, actually, the level design here. Up and down and round. So go in here, yes. Yeah, Guwango is cave. This is much earlier than Guwango. This is from 86. Though, yeah, the theme is quite similar, isn't it? That sort of period Japanese. And yeah, I don't think there's meant to be a background here. I think this is meant to be an indoor section that's kind of creepy. Although if there is meant to be a background here, please let me know. So, you can just hold the fire button actually. I don't know why I've been tapping it. Big frog. Oh, I think there's a frog boss. Can't go past the frog. Ribbit. I'd encourage it, Joe. If you enjoy that type of thing, I'd really encourage trying to get into it because it's when you actually finally figure things out, it is incredibly rewarding. It can be very frustrating at times, but when things just finally fit into place and make sense, it's a very satisfying feeling. That's why, even though with the Tecmo 16 bug, where it turned out I'd actually broken Riot and Jinkun, once I'd actually figured it out properly and still had Final Star Force working, it was really good to see. So I get to choose the different attacks, do I? If I stand here, yeah. I don't want to. This is actually tricky. There's lots of things firing at me. I got rid of the frog though. That's probably a good thing. Now we're back outside. Yep, back to reality. Yeah, this is actually a really good game. I really like it, and again, okay, don't walk off bridges. That was silly, wasn't it? But for 86, this is bright, colourful. It's fast-paced, stylish as well. Look at that spider graphic on the floor there. And the enemies aren't as predictable as you'd think. they're actually quite intelligent in where they stand to attack you and how they attack you. And they will chase you back. Let's go on the boat. And you say we've gone from, you know, walking shooter to on a boat, more shoot 'em up style. It mixes it up. I've not played this extensively before. It's one of those that once I saw the emulation had been fixed recently, like last year or so, I wanted to give another try to. But I always enjoyed what I did play of it. Well, when you say you guys, Joe, I tend to think you mean that, you know, everybody that's contributed to MAME, because it's a lot of teamwork. Everything is built on top of something somebody else has done. I mean, you know, I've spent a lot of time in the last years hooking up all the specifics of various plug-and-play games, but that's all built on, say, initial work done by Ryan and other people. And bug fixes have come along the way, and it all feeds into a, you know, one thing in the end. But it's contributions of many, many people. I mean, for all the arcade games I've emulated, a lot of that wouldn't have been possible if somebody hadn't emulated the 68,000 processor beforehand. And, you know, I could rely on it just working, which it always did. But yeah, for an 86 game, this is top quality. I'm probably not going to play it for too much longer, but you get the idea. Ninja Emaki. Yeah, actually, I'll give it another continue. One other continue if I get the chance. I'll start at the start of this level. Not ideal, but let's see how far we get. Once this continues over, I will we'll move on to another game, because this is probably going to be a slightly shorter stream, so I can say catch up with other streams I want to watch myself. Hey Casper, I mean, again though, Ryan, without the initial work, I would have been completely lost on it. So it was important. I mean, you know, I ended up rewriting most of the video for it to make it more proper scanline based, fixed a load of bugs that way. But again, if it didn't work at all in the first place, I would have had nothing to go on. And the actual video emulation is really good now, and I've got to check out that fix that you put in for the alpha, actually, see where that's used. Because I did notice some of the alpha effects on the older games were a little ugly at times, so I need to retest a few of those with that latest fix you put in and see, you know, if it improves the case I expect it to improve. But I think the video side of the older SPG is probably near enough perfect at this point. Except say the zooming stuff. But that's not on the very earliest version. It's only on, say, the one Speed Racer, and I think some of the later family sports units use, although they don't really use that feature. A lot of them still need specific controls hooking up, and IOMCU's emulating there. I mean, that's the issue with some of the 110 games. It's not just the 110 specifics, it's that Konami, who did several of them, used motion type controls with IOMCUs, which needs simulating. There's a karaoke one that's got an IOMCU that needs simulating. So there's definitely hookup specifics that need looking at. Same with the Zavix games. There's so many with motion controls and so many different ways you can hook up controls on them. That side of things is a little bit beyond me, knowing the best way to hook up any given input. So I'm kind of hoping that somebody comes along and helps with those, because for things, especially ones with cameras, the Zavix ones with cameras, that Lord of the Rings game, it's like, how do you map a camera that detects the size and shape of an object in 3D space? And first you've got to actually understand the protocol it's communicating with, which I haven't managed to do yet. Not that easy. Kiki Kai ripped this off. I don't know which came first, this or Kiki Kai. This feels like a later game to me, but I could be wrong. I wouldn't say ripped off though. I mean, it's just that this style of Japanese style, isn't it? The period that they're covering. I mean, you could say Guanga ripped it off, as I think Mass Ninja mentioned Guanga. Anyway, are you doing good, Casper? Good to see you again, as always. Vivaldi glitches out on hardware acceleration. I did not realise that. I only use Vivaldi really for captures on the stream because I like to keep, anything I'm capturing for displaying something completely separate to any browser I use for day-to-day tasks. Just seems a bit cleaner that way. But I didn't know it broke with the hardware acceleration. I mean, the Zavix is a fun little piece of hardware, really. That was a very challenging one to reverse engineer. There's quite a few of these plug and play techs. Some will use more widely than others. Zavix, I think, was one of the more expensive ones, so a lot of companies didn't use it. Hey Andy, thank you for joining. I hope you're doing well, and thank you I hope you enjoy the stream as well. I'm looking at some games that aren't in the all killer lists. I just looked at 2 Nichibutsu ones in a row, so I will probably look at early Irem. Let's look at Wily Tower, or Wily Tower. I don't know what it's called. 84 by Irem. You have me on your second display, Gangrel. I have me on my second. I have me on that display, and game on that display, and everybody talking on this display, which is kind of handy. It could be. I mean, Vivaldi's just another Chromium-based one, isn't it? Probably Wily Coyote, yes. Not Dr. Wily, obviously. This isn't a Capcom game. That isn't Mega Man. This is actually one of the games that's notable for shipping with corrupt graphics. If you can see the 3 character there, it's got bad pixels on, and the arrow's got bad pixels on. Also in the other sprites, if you go down here, there's quite a lot of bad graphics. Look in the numbers here, there's 200's got a line on it there. This one's got a bad line on it there. There's a bad line on the 3000. And that's been confirmed on multiple boards of both this and Atomic Boy, the export version. So that was very, very lazy, but that's how this one shipped. So it's a climb to the top of the tower, flick the switches. Very quiet, actually. At least the music is. But this is early Irem. Don't get electrocuted. Yeah, what Ryan says about the console. Sorry. The Game Wave. I mean, those things do need to be looked at eventually, and it would always help to create skeleton drivers and get ROMs dumped wherever possible, especially if you have the capacity to dump internal ROMs, boot ROMs from CPUs and the like. But yes, in terms of performance, MAME's probably quite away from emulating a lot of them. I think most people don't have the courage to tackle a new one, Ryan. I've looked at that a few times and looked at what did exist of the other emulator, and you have to have a certain special mindset to even consider taking that on. I think it looks like it makes Jaguar and STV Saturn look like child's play, I would say. Not one for the faint of heart. Plus, whether you have to emulate an entire DVD player as well for some of the games that rely on DVD support. Oh, I didn't realise they followed you up there too. That's mean. That's very mean. I mean, Nuon's got a Tempest game on it, which I guess is the reason anybody would want to emulate the Nuon. It's a bit like the Jaguar. I'm not doing very well at this game. It's its own custom architecture, really. That's one of the issues with it. It's got like loads of sub CPUs that have to all run in sync and in step, and I think it's another one of those where if you were designing a game, like I've read about some of the PlayStation 2 games, you tended to use a spreadsheet to get the timing of when every operation was going to complete so that you could actually make the code work. And that's one of the sort of worst case scenarios for MAME, is when you've got to single step everything, including taking into consideration, you know, any prefetch and the like. Not fun. Oh, still got me. Yeah, I say Nuon was built into DVD players as the game side of them, so it was never a standalone console. And some of the games, I believe, did integrate DVD functionality. Iron something, I want to say. I can't remember the title. Not Iron Man or Ironing Lessons, or it might not even be Iron. I might be completely misremembering. I don't think this game should be as hard as I'm making it to look. And to be fair, I mean, some of the Nuon stuff does actually look quite impressive. There's a racing game that doesn't look too bad. I don't know how it plays. I've never had the opportunity. But, definitely curious. It's definitely one I'll be trying out if oh. The enemies in this seem to do exactly what I don't expect them to do every time. But I'm going to say this one probably isn't a classic of any kind. It's got scrolling. It's not got any kind of fantastic sound design at all. I mean, Irem sometimes did fantastic, really good sound. You know, got some classic soundtracks, but this is just a few beeps in the background and sparse sound effects with actually quite unresponsive controls at times too. I don't think there's anything being done here that's not being done better elsewhere. Oh, again, they changed path right when I didn't expect them to. Hey, Nikki. Well, lurking is absolutely fine. I may be lurking on your streams later. So yes, this is Wily Tower. Also known as Atom Boy. Actually, let me switch to Atom Boy, see if it's any easier. Now, one thing I do notice with Atom Boy is it has a story. Now, this is one that Memetron licensed. We saw a Memetron game the other day. Well, this actually has the story. So, you know, while orbiting Earth, the Russians' most powerful nuclear killer satellite, the Kruger K, suffers a meltdown, contaminating and mutating all occupants on board. The master computer has gone wild, threatening to destroy the world. Due to the advanced training and a really neat lead suit, Atomic Boy's mission is to infiltrate and destroy the Kruger K master computer before it makes a cosmic mess of something, and the screen went away, so I didn't get a chance to read it all. And curiously, the clone set has that intro in a different colour. I think it's the same text, but now it's purple. I don't know. Clones are odd, aren't they? So let's just you don't know where to load the actual data. I don't know, Ryan. I mean, I looked briefly at it and was scared away. Did Phil ever have a look at it, or was one of Phil's always considered looking and never did get around to looking at projects? Vassara, I think, is on the actual All Killer No Filler list, so not for one of these streams. Vassara is quite well known. Vassara is surprising too, because Visco's output at that time was really quite bad. We'll have a look at a Visco game in a bit, but not Vassara. A game with Tomaday. Yeah, I'm probably not going to finish the first level, am I? Okay, let's give this credit and then conclude that if I actually want to show any more of this game, I'm going to have to practice it off stream. I seem to be repeating that very often. Run away, run away, run away, run away. Well, I flicked all the switches, but it's still game over. You'd really like to see the top of that tower. Well, that was the top. Shall I give it one more credit then? Why am I spending the most time, probably, on the game that is clearly the weakest of all the games? I mean, maybe it is Mega Man. It's kind of difficult. Maybe this is the secret history of Dr. Wily. I think this version is a bit easier than the Wily Tower version, actually. Or practice makes perfect and all that. But I seem to be there don't seem to be quite as many enemies. Hey, look, I've reached 7 without dying. Where are you going? There you go. I made it to the top of the tower. You said all filler, no killer. Yes. Maybe that is what I should have called this series. Although, you know, there are plenty of good games here. Those 2 Nichibutsu games are actually really good. So what's at the top of the tower? Well, it's not the top of the tower yet. It's a turbine room, which is similar but with more platforms. Moving stuff. That probably kills me. Yes, it kills me. So flick the switches, get to the top of the level. That is the design of this one. There are worse games. It's just very plain. I say there are worse games all the time, don't I? You can tell it was rushed out though, just from the the errors in the ROM with the character graphics being corrupt. That is very, very lazy. I'm assuming their master files must have just got corrupted at some point and they never noticed. Though how you don't notice that a corrupt 3 every time it appears in the numbers, I don't know. But that's just how it is. And of course MAME preserves all the warts of the original games. We don't try to fix such things. If they ship bad, they ship bad. I mean, the most famous example is Outrun, which ships with a corrupt sample ROM, where one of the bits is fixed, so you've lost half the fidelity of the sound. Hey look, I completed the second level too. This is definitely an easier version than the Japanese version. At least I'm going to say that. 3rd floor. I'm glad I played another credit now. Thank you, Bob, for encouraging me to continue and play another credit. Now we've got a pink Pac-Man stretched out and put on wheels. I don't like the way this this genetic experimentation is going. I'm going to get got here. No. Can I stand on it? Yeah, I can stand. Do I want to stand on that? Oh, okay. That's something. Okay, I have to do that probably, yeah. Oh, it's starting to make it a bit more platformy now. It kind of reminds me of a very early Thunder Hoop. I think it's the whole experiment in the factory thing that's going on here, but got. Okay. Oh, I've still got another life left. Yeah, they probably made so many copies. But the fact it got licensed out and still they have the same bug in it is you would have thought that by the time it became Atomic Boy and they'd even decided to change the colour scheme on some versions, they might have fixed the ROM, but nope. Every copy we found had the corrupt text sprites and a few other numbers. Anyway, there we go. But yes, he had a really neat lead suit apparently. It makes a cosmic camel parking lot out of Earth. Well, there you go. Don't think we want a cosmic camel parking lot. Right, I mentioned Visco. Visco Neo Geo Captain Tomaday from 1999. File manage? No. Slider controls. Horizontal stretch. Right, this game I want to like. The art style, the presentation, top notch. I love how they presented it. It's sort of got that almost Amiga intro. I mean, obviously I'm thinking of Bill's Tomato game with the tomato character. But it does have that sort of style to it. But really well done, really high quality, great colours, great art. Love the title logo. The game. Not convinced by the game. I love the backgrounds. I think I once extracted all the backgrounds and made them into big images because I like them that much. But yeah, okay, you've got your joystick. Left punch, right punch. Oh, yeah, that works. Yeah, you've told me that. You pump up the other hand when you pump up one of them, and then you attack with a super attack. It's kind of obvious in what it's telling you. Become a lizard. Formation change. Right. Just a moment, because this game uses both buttons, so due to, you know, keyboard ghosting issues, let's just change the keys a little bit. There we go. So yeah. Yeah, it does actually have a look a bit like some of the Mega Man stages, doesn't it, Ryan? I was kind of feeling that with it. Although, I don't think Capcom looked at that game when they came up with Mega Man. At least, I'd assume they didn't. So, what annoys me about this is if you go close up to an enemy and hold both buttons, you get quite a bit of weird slowdown and jitteriness. Which is not always possible to execute, but if you're in the right place, you really notice it. I don't know why it happens. 1, 2, 3. Get the tomato. I guess this is closer to the sort of more caravan style shooters. It's not strictly that format, but it feels it at times. But yeah, this is one of those fairly late life Neo Geo games. They get a bit of slowdown. There seems to be some odd slowdown associated with hitting things at times. And it just really throws me off. There you see. Just that. It's like whenever you hit something, it adds a delay. And if you're hitting things quickly, it really makes the game stick. And I was told it does happen on a real Neo Geo if you do it in the right place. So I don't think it's the main thing. It'd be very weird if it was, because, you know, Neo Geo hardware is pretty much understood. Yeah, Bill's Tomato game is a bit more ordinary, but I guess it's just the fact it's a tomato hero, isn't it? And this is sort of a psychedelic, surreal background. I mean, I've turned into a baby now, and I'm fighting a baby, and what? It's a very stylish game. It just doesn't really hold up as well as many of the other better shooters on the Neo. But I think Visco were struggling around this time. I mean, compared to Ganryu, which is for some reason on the all killer list, even though it's barely even be considered a good platform game on like a Mega Drive. This one isn't. I must have done really badly at it. I do like the pump up your hand with the other hand mechanic. That stands out. Stands out as different. It's definitely not your traditional shoot 'em up bullet system. Yes, Thomas. Thank you for joining as well. Welcome to the stream. As a name I recognise from... Here we go with the slowdowns. A name I recognise from many previous streams. So, thank you for joining again. Bill's Tomato game is a really good game, though, if you've not played it for years. It's obviously a puzzle game. There's a prototype version on the Mega Drive, which I'm surprised didn't get released. I think it could have done well on the Mega Drive. I mean, Krusty's Funhouse was a really popular puzzle game on the Mega Drive. Everybody, you know, wanting solutions to it, and Bill's Tomato game was one of those for the Amiga, where I think every time there was a TV episode, they had a solution to a level, because that many people wanted solutions to levels on it. So I'm a bit surprised the Sega version wasn't released. But maybe there's some development issues that I'm unaware of. Oh, come on. Let's just go with slow down. A lot of banana games have been turned down. It's not a banana game, but Wild Woody did come out on the Sega CD. And that's as close as you can get to a banana game with a pencil. That is one of those games I'm actually surprised was released, is Wild Woody. I think there's even some rather naughty hidden content in Wild Woody from what I remember reading on the cutting room floor. So yeah, if you Google the cutting room floor and Wild Woody, I think they might have some secrets listed. I like how you can be left-handed or right-handed. Just alternating the hands. I wonder if one hand's actually more powerful than the other and just doesn't tell you. I really don't know what's going on. I mean, this is as random as the Explosive Breaker game, really, in terms of what you're fighting and what's going on. Oh, look. Tack Donalds? Of course, it's not the craziest shooter. Space Bomber probably still takes the crown in terms of what is going on. Is this some trippy dream? Have I lost my mind type of shooter? In a very literal sense. Now a baby again. I don't know if being a baby is good or bad. I feel like I have very limited firepower as a baby, but I'm throwing toys. I think the artist smoked a lot of something. I'm not sure it would just be weed, Gangrel. Yeah. This is why I wonder why Visco just... They had games that looked great like this. They had games that played really well, like Vasva, which is actually quite ugly in places. They had games that were just utterly dull, like Bang Bead and Battle Flip Shot, which is like modern Pong. They're very all over the place company, Visco. Very all over the place. But they say this has got beautiful backgrounds. The backgrounds are stunning. Such good pieces of art. They look almost better than you'd expect to see on the Neo Geo. But, as a game, it becomes a little dull after a while. The music's very average. The music's not doing anything for me. It's very soupy. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Furtek, and thank you for the contrafix that I talked about in the previous stream. Ooh. So yeah, I'm not going to continue too much more on Captain Tomaday, but it's probably worth checking out. If I was going to include a Visco, if I was going to include a Visco game on the list, I would have probably included that one over Ganryu, but Ganryu is a platform. Maybe they, you know, with the list they wanted to include some platformers, not just too many shooters, which makes sense. Yeah, a nude mermaid. I think that was it, wasn't it, main fan? You prefer Bagman over Captain Tomaday. I think Bagman is on the list, or one of the versions. Maybe not Super Bagman, but definitely a Bagman game. Right. Shall I go with something that probably not expecting me to play? Do you like tile matching? I know you all like tile matching. Why am I asking? Now, this is a tile matching game on Tato's GNet hardware. So nice setup PlayStation with extra sound hardware, very fancy sound hardware. And obviously it loads from sort of a card into flash memory. So I've pre-flashed it. Right, this game is for use in Japan only. Of course, we are in Japan. Now, there are a couple of Shanghai type games, or tile matching games, on GNet, and they're all really good looking ones, as you'd expect from games of this era. And they sound good too, because this Taito sound system is top notch. But this one, so this is a bit different. Now, I don't think it's got any inappropriate content in it. It's not in the mature section of Catver, although I found several games that definitely should be in the mature section of Catver that aren't. But it does have pictures between levels, but they all seem to be safe from what I can tell. Now, this one is sort of you've got a train of tiles, and you're matching them. I must have selected a more difficult mode than I did before, but you can only match around one corner in either direction. So you can see you can match from here all the way to here, and you've got to clear the train by only matching, you know, by moving things in a way that means you're within the limits of where you can match. You know, you can't go around too many corners, which is a really different take on it. And I know, say, tile matching games aren't everybody's cup of tea, but I was playing this one earlier and I actually really enjoyed it. The music helps too. Very relaxing little tune we've got going on. Can I get to that? Yeah, I can get to that. And it does get a bit more complex, and there are helper features, but you don't have to know what any of the symbols are, as far as I know, except maybe on the bonus round, where it is. What are these two? I can't read the service mode, it's all in Japanese, so I don't know if there are ways to change the tile types, but probably not, because I think this was only ever meant for Japan. There we go, round clear. We get a picture, but again, it's not a nude or anything like that, so it seems like it's okay. And I got a D. I guess that's because I was very slow in doing it. Okay, normal. But as far as tile matching games with a different play mechanic go, I do like this one. Hey, good evening, Peter. I believe Bob, if he's still here, had a Danish fact for us about birthdays. Somebody important's birthday in Denmark, apparently. Would you like to recall the fact if you are still here, Bob? So I think one strategy is to try and go for as long reaches on these as you can, to get tiles that are further apart closer together. You can end up in, you know, unwinnable situations, as you'd expect from any game like this. Yes, Queen Margaret II, apparently, Peter. I don't know where Bob's from. Bob has been coming up with many facts over the streams from all over the world. So, yeah, you can tell how nice the sound system here is. Sometimes clicking on pieces in this is really tricky, especially these ones though. There's some positions where you really struggle to click on the piece. That seems like bad design. It's the one flaw I found in this when I was playing it earlier. I can't get you yet. Oh, I'm running out of time. That one. And get that one. If I can get that one. I may as well get those two. Let's get those two. We'll get those two. But yeah, I'm not usually one to spend a long time playing a tile matching game. Maybe it's the the music in this one just sets the scene so well. I can't do that one. What can I do? I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. The bus is. Oh yes, of course you're from Denmark too, aren't you, Thomas? We have a pair of Danish viewers. I got an E. I'm doing even worse on this level. Anyway, here's the bonuses. This is where I think you do have to know what the symbols are, because if you pick the wrong symbol, it ends the bonus stage. But so, what's that? Something up. That must be a bad one. Yeah, I don't know what they do. Yes, good to see you anyway, Peter. As Ryan says. Hope you're doing well. Anyway, you say this was what's it called? Soutenryu. I think this is a really good GNet game that basically nobody plays because it just looks like a tile matching game, and it is a tile matching game. But it's a tile matching game with a twist. You'd say it's a tile matching game where it's a train of tiles, not just a pile of tiles. And that really makes it play differently and actually, captures my attention and makes me want to play it for a bit longer than I would usually play any tile matching game. The first was 200 and the second was Miss, was it? I guess Miss. Yeah, that would probably be why I lost. I had to pour myself a drink. I'm getting very dry throat. That's a lot of vodka. I'm not very good at measuring these things. Right, that's a drink poured. Now where are we going? Okay. This was mentioned. What's it? Section Z. This was mentioned on a previous stream, and this is Capcom's Section Z or Section Z. It's a 2-button game from late 80s, mid 80s, 85. So, coin it up. It's quite quiet. Let's turn it up a little bit. Very elevator music, this. So you've got turn around and you've got fire. Now it's less elevatory. Now it's starting to sound like a classic 8-bit home computer soundtrack from something like the Spectrum, actually. Now I'm already getting sort of prototypey Forgotten World, Lost World feel from this one. I guess it's because it's a multi-directional shooter, although officially this does not have the rotary dial for aiming in any direction. Yes. So, It is a little bit jazzy, isn't it? Sort of, the soundtrack's evolving. It's going lots of places. Obviously, you've got your bomb, very scrambled. Don't get too close to things like that; they will kill you. So I don't think I've ever spent any real time playing this one before. Why did it say EJOT-Z? Top. That's not the name of the game. But pronunciations. I was watching another video a couple of weeks ago, and somebody was talking about old computers, and they said the Z-Cross. And I was like, what's a Z-Cross? It took me a while to work out they actually meant the ZX Spectrum. So when you get American YouTubers talking about British consoles, it can sometimes be amusing in the same way that, you know, I end up calling this section Z and other people call it section Z. But I've never heard a Spectrum called a Z-Cross before. Threw me off, that one did. These look like CCTV cameras that have got extra security. I see you're talking languages in the chat too, Ryan. Well, I don't always play them properly, Andy. I give them my best try, but I'm not a good player at them. You know, I try to get somewhere in them, but if they start to beat me and, you know, I'm clearly not going to get anywhere, I will tend to move on, because I don't want people to be seeing the same level over and over and over again. But, there are ones that I have probably passed on a bit too quickly, because I was getting frustrated with them, that I'll come back to at a later date. But I kind of know that there aren't actually that many games in MAME that are going to be worth covering. So, you know, once we get a couple of months into these streams, you're going to see more repeats. So there's always another chance for me to play games I did pass up on more quickly as well. Obviously, I'm talking arcade there. For non-arcade stuff, there is more than enough to last a lifetime, which is kind of why I like to mix in non-arcade stuff too. Yeah, the soundtrack on this is probably what's standing out about it more so than the game, but you can almost see the prototype. Forgotten Worlds ideas in here. Not seen a shop so far. I think some people say cross because I don't know. I've seen it before. You know, it's the same with the PlayStation pads. Some people say X, some people say cross. I don't really know. I've heard both, so I think somebody coming from a ZX Spectrum is how we'd say it here. But somebody I was watching did say Z Cross. I guess they somebody who grew up the PlayStation, maybe. Yeah. And obviously the other. Oh yeah, we can just call it the Specky, can't we, Emmy? And the other thing is we've got like cross out here, X out, which actually specifically calls it cross out in digitized speech on the Amiga, but everybody just called it X out. And to confuse matters, that had a sequel called Z out. And if it wasn't X out, then why is it Z out? Or Z out. If we're gonna now I'm being attacked by a flower. Here's the section E. Oh. Oh, now we're scrolling in the other direction. Okay. Bit of a change in music, I think. It's hard to tell. Yeah, things do seem to... There seems to be a bit of flicker at the top of the screen. I'm not sure what's going on there. But that might be an original game issue. It was mentioned there were some clipping issues in this game on real hardware. Lasers. See, is that X the ball or is that cross the ball? X the ballot, cross the ballot, put an X in the ballot, put a cross on the ballot. It's not always clear. I mean, I've heard it was called spot the ball, as in, not spot it as in see where it is, as in put a spot where it is. I'm not going to play X the ball though, that's not a fun arcade game. In fact, I think it's just a redemption game, isn't it? I don't like lasers in games like this. Yeah, see? Yeah, Monster Hunter Cross. I'm assuming it's Dracula X, not Dracula Cross. But yeah, Section Z, Section Z. Yeah, I'll give it one more credit. I'll see if I can beat this laser section. I'm guessing EJZ is actually because there's A, B, C, D before E. And yeah, it says G there, so this is section G, isn't it? It's just certain sections where you get bonuses. It just makes the game look like it's called EJZ. Not Idiot Z. EJOT. EJIT. Fire a lot. There's less. I said there's just less spawn. Just as lots of things spawned. They're mean too. I'm thinking I like the lasers now. At least it checkpoints you at the previous letter by the looks of it. This is a bit tricky. Oh, well, game over. Is that just the Ghosts and Goblins Game Over theme? It sounded very, very like the Ghosts and Goblins theme, that. The last boss is a big Z, or Z. At least it's not called the 26th Z, like another game is. Which is also letter themed. I think I looked at that. It technically means athletics sports. I wasn't mashing the button enough for that to be a sports game. Yeah, I quite like that game actually. Section Z. I think that could easily be on that list of games to play in MAME, must play games. So I'm not sure why it isn't, but it isn't. Where next? Well, looking at my little list of things I wanted to focus on in this stream. I believe this is Vertical. And I've typed the name incorrectly because it's another Irem game from '86. This is Youjyouden. Youjyouden? Don't ask me. It's from Japan. So, what we got here then? Yeah, Thomas, that does happen on a fair number of hardware types. I think it's a case where the operator maybe would hide it with the overscan area. It's a little bit lazy, a little bit ugly, a little bit distracting too, because you think something's appearing and disappearing, but you do find that problem on a lot of games, sprite wrapping issues. So I'm guessing it's just a game issue. It could be a bug, but somebody did say it happened on real hardware, so I'm inclined to trust them. So Youjyouden. Thank you, Bob. Wasn't Yojo a game in its own right? A very different game, I think. It's always good to have somebody who knows the Japanese. You said you lived in Japan for a while, didn't you? Right, what do I do with the statues of fish? So yeah, another early run and gun. Scrolling commando style one. I think the sound balance is maybe a bit off there. The explosion's far louder than everything else. I think it's one of the analog sounds, isn't it? Irem light. Now, as far as I know, this didn't get localized or released outside of Japan, which is kind of surprising because it seems a fairly standard game that could have easily been played outside of Japan. It's not one that's going to require advanced Japanese knowledge. Sorry, yeah, you have the problem of in Scummy VM of deciding if something is your bug or an original bug. Yeah, it happens all the time in emulation. Everybody kind of just assumes the games were flawless, but most of them weren't. Memory tends to forget about the flaws unless they were ones that really affected you. And with a lot of the arcade games, they were so technically impressive in other ways at the time, you were just sort of blown away by them, completely overlooked the flaws. But we say software's a lot buggier today, but it always had bugs. As I've mentioned before, but you look at a lot of 8-bit micro games, and there's quite a lot of them that couldn't be completed. There were magazine typings back in the day to poke fixes into the games because they'd crash at a certain point regardless of what you did. It's just how software is. Can we go down the well or anything? No separate well sections. Okay. So again, this is one I've not really played before. It looks like they're throwing tomatoes at me. We're back to Captain Tomaday, except now the tomatoes are just being thrown. So Journal. That's the most memorable game I can think of where tomatoes are regularly lobbed around the screen. Or it rains tomatoes. Oh, okay. You announced your arrival. Now this is one where you've got very slow movement, so you have to be careful where you move. I like the fact this is a long range shot. I'm hoping it actually damages them and just double KO. I don't think it counted either. Double KO should always favour the player, sorry. Personal opinion. It's like the racing games where if you're running out of time and slowing down and you still pass through the checkpoint, it still counts. That's how you do it. You favour the player in those cases. Because then it just feels like you've beaten something that was unfair. Nothing worse than seeing the finish line and instantly stopping and having a game over screen. If you roll over, it's satisfying. It's quite a sound effect, isn't it? It's like a cow. Cow's not been here today. Cow usually drops into my streams. Oh, now we're going fly. Okay. This is the furthest I've ever played this game. I've grown wings. Still shooting fish statues there. Yeah, our main policy is to leave the bugs that exist as they are, because we're trying to document their history. Sometimes people will make hacked ROM sets with them fixed, and sometimes those ROM sets will get used on PCBs and added to MAME that way, but usually if there's a bug in the original game, it is just how it's left. Sometimes we have to put an extra effort to emulate the bugs in the original game if they're like sprite limit ones and like. Extra. But I still think we should write a scum CPU core for MAME one day, just as a bit of a novelty. I know there was another world one being developed by what's his name? I can't remember the developer's name. Brazilian developer. I think he did another world core for MAME treated like a CPU. Hey Rockman, my imitation of the scream is a great time to join. Yes. Wow. There we go. How are you doing anyway? Thank you for joining. I closed Twitter after replying to your question earlier, so if you've replied since, I haven't seen it. Oh, I'm back here. Okay. This is back at the start of the game, isn't it? I'm back at the start of the game. Okay, I'll give it this one credit, but then I'll move on from this one because we're going to be retreading the same part of the game you just saw. Reminds you of Legendary Wings. I think it's the art style, isn't it? The pillars and stonework. Okay. I just had to check that you couldn't pick him up. You can't pick him up, he kills you. I'm doing worse this time. Roman Commando. Yes, that is probably a good way to describe this one actually right now. But again, this didn't get released outside of Japan as far as I know. It could have easily got released outside of Japan. Does it offer enough over something like Commando to be worth playing on its own? I'm not sure. I use a different name every time. It's a competent game. Maybe there are enough games already like this that are better than this, but if you saw this in an arcade and they didn't have a Commando, I think you'd probably be quite happy to play this one. It plays absolutely fine. It's got decent sound, Irem sound. I did like that, the roar of the creature that I imitated. It's not too difficult. The collisions seem fair. Yeah, this one seems competent and playable. So, yeah, it's got the flight part too, which mixes it up a little bit, turns it into a more traditional shooter for a while. It's a shame that it checkpointed me all the way out to the start of the game, really, because I would have liked to see more of it. But oh well, I might have to do that on another stream, or put some cheats on and see where I get with it with cheats on. Right. We are an hour and a half into this stream. Now, as I said, it might end up being a 2-hour stream, not a 3-hour stream, because a lot of streamers I know start around 9 and it's now 8:30. So I might go to 9 or 9:30. But that might be it for this time. So let's go with Konami. Now, which Konami game? I'll go with the 81 game first. Konami's Strategy X. Not one I'm overly familiar with either. Advance to the base and destroy it, or something. Now this seems to have lots of labels on the ground. And from looking at the attract mode, you might assume this plays with a spinner. It does not. It plays with a joystick and 3 buttons. And it's kind of ugly. I'm not going to lie, the graphics on this are kind of ugly. It's also really quiet. Let's do something about that. Still probably quite quiet. Go ahead. So you've got a rotate left and a rotate right button basically. And a shoot button. And I really don't know why it doesn't use a spinner. You hover over the fuel to pick up fuel. You blow up the TNT to blow up. And you make your way along. And this really looks like a home computer game. I'm not, you know, visually, this is home computer style graphics. But how does it play? So far, I would actually say it doesn't play too badly. Again, it probably could have been a spinner game. Moving along the screen. I don't really know why it's Strategy X. Maybe it's meant to be because of the generally slower paced gameplay. I always get this one confused with Tactician, because Tactician is an actual game with more strategy. And Tactician is a very different game, of course. But, yeah, this is early Konami. I think they licensed it to Sega too. Oh yeah, don't blow the TNT up when you're next to it, because that's a silly thing to do. And the game lets you know it's a silly thing to do by killing you. No music in game. Quite a quiet game. I'm sure there's a story behind this one. I don't know what it is. Doesn't really have that flair you'd associate with an arcade game, does it? I can't shoot that. Does that mean I can pick it up? Well, that answers that question. Yeah, Thomas is one of these Scum devs. We owe a lot to the Scum devs. I mean, I've spent much time playing with things on Scum. And I know many... I think I know more people who appreciate Scum than actually MAME and all their arcade emulators. It's just those LucasArts games especially are just so iconic. People want to play them all the time. And, you know, myself no exception. I think one of my friends will be streaming some of those at some point in the not too distant future. You blew up my fuel. I mean, obviously, now things like Grim Fandango and Day of the Tentacle have got HD remasters. Some people are just playing the HD remasters instead, but that's doesn't change the importance of a project like Scum. I put my own fuel, yay! So yeah, I ran out of fuel. You run out of fuel very quickly. Now I don't like the way, as you're running out of fuel, the meter's turning green. That's bad design in terms of colour choices. You'd expect it to be turning red as it's emptying. But there you go. They chose green. Or the colours were wrong, but you know. I mean, the explosions, some of them are green too. I really don't know. I'm going to run out of fuel again. I don't even get much back, and then I shoot some more of it. Okay, this is actually a really difficult game. Run out of fuel again. Alright, Rockman, take care. Good. Thank you for dropping by anyway. It's always good to see you. So, the bricks are red though, so if red and green were swapped, that wouldn't make sense there. So I don't think the colours are wrong. We need to get the fuel. I don't like how fast the fuel decreases at all. Maybe there's a dip switch to control that. I think most of the dip switches are unknown on this one, are they? Yeah, lots of unknown dip switches. Maybe some of them are difficulty. Let's see if it's any easier if I switch them all. Favourite arcade game era? That's a difficult one. Probably sometime in the mid-90s for me, to be honest. I mean, maybe late 80s. I wouldn't say the earliest period. I mean, I'm probably a bit too young for it because I was only born in 81, so I really don't have any strong personal connections with anything that early. So, I remember a lot of the Sega Scalar games. Not really sure. I'd say sometime between like 88 and 92 maybe. Why am I shooting the fuel on purpose? Not convinced by this one, to be quite honest. I think somebody needs to study the code and see what the dip switches actually do. It just surprised me to see that, you know, an 80s game with most of the dip switches listed just as unknown. Especially a Z80 based one, because there's plenty of Z80 experts who usually have studied Z80 games quite extensively. I think it must be a bit easier with the dip switches flip, because I'm definitely getting a bit further. Oh, it's ice physics on that. Of course it's ice physics on that. Okay, it seems a little bit better with the dip switches flip, because I think it's not draining my fuel at a ridiculous rate anymore. So I can actually get somewhere. No, I turned 40 in May, Gangrel. I've got my COVID jab booked now for Sunday. So, yeah. I grew up with the spec in the CPC, so it kind of says my age. If you don't know it, guess it already. I do tend to get confused by it for somebody in their 20s quite often, though. I think I must just look quite young. This time I'm not going to get the fuel. This is Z80. Dual Z80. One of the Z80s is sound. I could probably look it up myself actually. Z80 is fairly easy to understand. I'm just a bit surprised. You know, there's no sheet come up with the dip switches either. Because unknown is not even unused. Unknown is like, you know, we've not investigated it. We don't know. Nobody has checked. Oops. Anyway, I'm not 100% convinced on that game. It's playable. It does feel more like something you get on a home computer than an arcade game. Yes. But I mean, I got a notification about 2-3 weeks ago and said you can book your appointment now. And then I went to the booking thing. It's like there's no slots. I got another notification yesterday, and they had slots this time. So I guess it's going to be regional. Sticking with Konami. Right. This is Devil World by Konami, not in any way related to the NES game of the same name. And this is a classic example of Konami not really knowing what they wanted to do. Zip 1, Zip 2, Zip 3, not related to zip files either. This is probably going to be too loud, so let's find out. No, actually, it's okay. Now, here we go. It's very Indiana Jones, isn't it? Those who have tempered with the sacred ark are doomed. Now, apparently I chose Bow Lady. I think this might be one of those where your character's based on the joystick you're using. But clearly this wants to be Gauntlet with big sprites. And that's kind of, it's also a major flaw. It's also got the, you know, your classic Konami power-up system mixed with Gauntlet. Yes, Dark Adventure is a different version of this. I'll look at Dark Adventure shortly. Because Dark Adventure does away with the Konami power-up system, doesn't it? Which Konami like to do for certain export releases. Keys unlocks exits. Again, very Gauntlet. You pick up a key, it tells you what it does. Oh yeah, you walk too close to the edge of the cliff and you fall off. Even though you're just trying to pick up a power up. Power jump to get up the cliff. No. I mean, I'm glad you have good memories of it, because to me, these games are a complete mess. I suppose there's some appeal to it, but it feels like it's about to fall apart at any given second. It's sort of, it reminds me of the direction the home systems took with Gauntlet 3. Just go away, big thing. I don't really know what I'm doing on it, so excuse me just wandering around very lost. Tried to beat Dark Adventure and got lost. This is the exit, isn't it? I got the key for it. Yeah, there we go. Move to Matigu. I assume you can beat it. I've never tried. I know I've got to like the lava stage before. Yeah, it's got this nice thing. You're walking around in the grass. It covers you up a little bit. It's all set on fire, but again, the whole thing is that it's lagging. I don't want to walk too close to the edge because I'll probably just fall down the cliff trying to pick that up. Not got the key, have I? So. There is no escape without a key. Yeah, so find the key, basically. Now, yeah, I mean, like I say, I think this one is a bit of a mess. I can see what Konami were going for. They were going for Gauntlet. There's the key. It's just blatant, isn't it? Especially with the speech. And the enemy spawners. And I'm not even a huge fan of Gauntlet. So this one is a bit of a push for me. Oh, apparently start shows you a map. Oh, there you go. I didn't know that until I just pressed start when trying to continue. There we go. Move to Ibans. Okay, so Devil World. Quickly switching to Dark Adventure, which is a reworked version. We've seen that before. Now, you'll notice it's not got the Konami power system at the bottom anymore. Also, I've got a different weapon. I've got a sword. Well, I'm now swiping away at things, not using whatever I was using before. So, as I say, it looks like Konami wasn't really sure what they wanted to do in some senses with this game. there's the key. There's more than one key now. Let's get a can of Coke. Let's give him food. Now this version's 3-player and the other version was 2-player as well. So I guess if it's one of those games where if you've got friends playing it, probably better. And then suddenly I've got a flamethrower, which feels a bit out of place. I've got another key. But it looks fun. The levels are different here too. Look, there's a bridge here that wasn't there before on the other version. So I don't know if they're just levels in a different order or if they're just different. Now I've got a laser. Now, please, in what universe do we go from fighting demons and devils to you've got a laser? I mean, you know, I've played a bit of Dungeons and Dragons and never been told, oh yeah, you found a laser gun. Unless it's a crossover thing. Oh. Now I'm back to this weapon. My sword is now glowing because I picked up a crystal ball. It's very rough around the edges. I guess it's one of those where if you played it enough, and it was the game that was on offer at your arcade, and you had some friends, you'd sort of get used to it. But, you know, if I'm looking at it on as a technical level, it's a bit of a mess, as I keep saying. Jurassic Park lady thought it was cool. I think to use the other characters, I'd have to remap the inputs so that I had the, you know, I was using different controls. I don't think the exit's down here, so the exit's probably somewhere else. There's lots of slowdown in this too. Her will to live was clearly less than mine. Where is the exit? This bridge looks safe, doesn't it? Okay. Just the way the sprites vanished to just show the map. The map that is under the trees. I'm assuming that's not an emulation error. I'm assuming it's just this very rough game didn't bother to check the priorities before showing you the map when there's something else there. No, the game is quite slow. I mean, the original footage I've seen doesn't seem to make it look like an emulation problem. I think it's just quite a slow game. It's probably one of those that people have fonder memories of than maybe it deserves. It's only that updating about 30 frames a second too, if that. I can kind of see why it's not on the top lists. It's one that you would have had to have played back in the day, I think, to really enjoy too much. You know, more nostalgic value than value of it as a game in its own right. You like how it's spiral bound. Oh, the program manual. Right. That Joe has come through with the goods, has he then? Excellent. Yeah, same hardware as Gradius 2, Twin 16, I believe. Yeah, 268K is driving this, and a Z80 for sound. I don't want to play too much more of it. It's again, it's probably fun with friends if you've got 3 players. It's probably even slower with 3 players, but yeah. Anyway, should we go from one quite slow game to another quite slow game? I seem to recall this one's quite loud, so I'm going to turn the sound down preemptively. Right, Cosmic Avenger, 1981 Universal. Another one of those early Universal games that gets completely overlooked. Classic sort of rainbowy, colourful Universal. Let's put in a credit. Very small logo. You really want your big logo here, but you get a small logo. So what is it? It's scramble-ish, but slow. Got a bit more going on than scramble, to be fair. So, I do like a good universal game. And this is one, again, that nobody talks about. I mean... Ow. That's a very Mr. Do sound effect. I prefer hard copies too, Ryan. There's lots of times when I print stuff out just to have a hard copy of it because I find it so much easier to refer to something that I'm holding in my hand. And, you know, I can annotate something I've got in my hand too, more easily. I find it easier to bend a corner to bookmark a page than, you know, use in software techniques. Okay, a very sudden to high score table entry there. Wow. This is the only game I've seen with 3 rubs before the end. So that sounds wrong. And that's a very Defender Williams sound effect. I'll tune it through that effect. So, yeah. This game, I'm going to say it seems ambitious. Is there a level of parallax going on with those stars too? Or is that an illusion? Probably an illusion. Apparently going fast helped me. I'll go fast more often. Oh, doesn't help me there. Yes, this is, I guess, an alternative to Scramble. And you have to consider when this came out. You know, that was 81 as well, wasn't it? I seem to recall the screen saying. So, yeah, 81 Universal. I don't like the way you can't wrap back to the end of the high score name. To get to end, you have to actually go right the whole time. Because you can't go up and down. So the high score entry screen on this is very rough. But again, 81, high score entry screen. Give it another credit. I'd still like to try and emulate the LGM video art at some point, but I don't think anything from it's dumped, not the unit, not the cartridges. I think it might be an MCU type inside the unit though, unfortunately, but I'd imagine the cartridges should be dumpable. Speaking of, you know, random things that are paint related. Oh dear. This game is not without its flaws. I wish I'd stopped getting high scores. Are you sure it wasn't because you felt like one day you might become so annoyed with the Sun Plus stuff you just wanted to shred it, Joe? I've printed things out for that reason before. It's like, yes, one day I might just want to shred this. So, no, I don't know. I've heard kind of horror stories about some of the Sun Plus development, so I don't know if your experiences were more positive. But some people have not had pleasant things to say about the tools they were provided with. So yeah, I'm not playing this very well. Oh, this is just very tricky. There's definitely a lot more to it, a lot more going on than Scramble. This is a very, very busy game. Lots of different things to consider. So, as I say, for an 81 game, I'd say this is ambitious. I don't know if I'd say it was good. It's probably one that you'd learn to like again. It's a little bit slow and laggy. I don't know much about the paint box, but good luck with that, Ryan. It's always, you know, these obscure systems that certain people have really fond memories of are great to see emulated. I say obscure, maybe it's not obscure, but it's not one that everybody's going to know as a household name. So I do look forward to seeing any progress. I'm sure I did exactly that same thing last time I played this. Get out of my way. Problem is, once you're on the trajectory to hit something, it is very, very difficult to not hit it in this game. On the plus side, all 5 high score entries are now filled, so if I do really badly, I'm not going to have to enter my name. That is quite impressive for 1981, Ryan. Yes, I guess it cost a fortune in 1981. Probably cost more of a fortune now, the way prices of all this old stuff's gone. Oh, dear me. Ryan might end up with his own personal llama. You got anywhere to keep a llama, Ryan? £150,000. Yeah, it's a bit out of my budget. That was in 81, so that's not even adjusted for inflation. Ouch. Okay, let's see if I can get anywhere in the water section. Yes, well, if Jeff Minter buys you a llama, I think it's probably a good idea to look after it. I think Jeff Minter's. There's that Jeff Minter game for the what's it called? The one that we don't have any complete dumps of the proper BIOS that never came out. That there are game images of that I can't remember the name of. It's not coming to me. Never mind. The one that's on similar hardware to some of the Flare-based gambling games. That would be a nice one to have emulated, but I think you'd have to HLE the whole BIOS system because it wasn't even really one system. It was things developed for test boards and demo boards, not production boards. And what was it called? I can't remember. Right, we are over 2 hours. As I say, I think we're probably going to get about another half hour out of it. Yeah, Cosmic Avenger. I like the ambition. It's a little bit slow to play, and there are too many times when I thought, there's no way out of the situation. I can see I'm going to head to a bullet and I can't avoid it. But yeah, there's more going on than Scramble, and for a game from 81, I think I would have been impressed by that in the arcades had I not been born in 81. What were you? Vertical. Tazz-Mania. Not that Tazz-Mania. This Tazz-Mania. Now, again, we've got some nice rainbow effects going on here. There's keys. Joystick, 2 buttons. Now, pull stick for instructions. Don't know which way. I'm moving the stick, it's not giving me any instructions. The Konix multi-system, yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. Thank you, Takeshiomoto. Yeah, the Konix, which is, say, it's more of a collection of systems by the sounds of it. Somebody did say that they could probably get the BIOS for one of them dumped, but then most of the software is actually for some demo board, not that system. And I think that some of them use a Z80, some of them use a V30. But it would be nice to have the software emulated in MAME in some capacity, even if it meant HLEing a lot of it. Because it looks like, you know, there's some kind of cool demo software, including that Jeff Minter one. Now this is a kill all the enemies, race against the clock because the walls are closing in on your game. The exit's at the top or the bottom. You've cleared. Every room's got a different name. So this is the evil eyeball room. And again, in that sense, this really reminds me of a home platform game where rooms had silly names. If you ever played the Pyramid, I think it is, on Spectrum. That's usually moving between rooms, and the rooms have themes. It kind of reminds me of that. I think that's one thing I liked about this game, though it can be very difficult to avoid things at times. You do have bombs that I wasted. Ah yes, the Fairlight CMI. That's another. That one's rather famous, isn't it? I mean, it'd be nice to have somebody who was streaming a lot of those things too. The things that I would find very difficult to stream. But I guess the problem is with a lot of them, you have to have the knowledge of the system. So you find an expert on each system, but you're not going to find somebody who knows all of them to cover them on various streams. Whereas with games, you can pick them up fairly easily, and with a system, a computer, you can usually find out how to load a game. With ones where you've got to install an operating system first, or really know what the thing was, or where there was no games and creativity things, it can be much more difficult to demonstrate. Okay. Leave. The character looks kind of like something you find in Berserk. You get the numbers in order, and then get out. Can't see it too. Yeah, get out. The squid room. I think this might have worked better as a twin stick shooter. I'm not going to lie. You do kind of get Robotron feel for it. It would work better like Robotron. But, you know, not every cabinet was twin joystick, and if you're trying to produce things for using other cabinets, you're limiting your market a little bit if you try to do that. You do have bouncy shots off the walls though, which can be a strategy. You can't shoot yourself, which is lucky. Don't get hit by the walls though. There we go. Get out. Ooh, don't get squashed. The sickle room. So there's probably not much to say about this game. It's just to shoot everything in the room, get out the room before the room squashes your game. But you know, this idea of rooms and walls closing in on you and squashing you if you run out of time, it's one of those classic ideas, isn't it? That's not in that many games. And there's your scoring system. G-Shack. And sorry if I missed anything in the chat. The character sprite reminds you of Ned Flanders in Gyu. I'm not really seeing Ned Flanders, although it's Ned. Maybe if I go like this, it's Ned Flanders with a cross. Yeah, look, it's does look like he's holding a cross, doesn't it? I mean, it's a cross that's firing lots of bullets. So, very violent Ned Flanders. Now, the actual thing, the walls don't destroy the other creatures, as you can see. So, that's not going to help you. Left it very late there. Now, they don't seem to do multiple routes. It doesn't matter if you leave by the top or bottom, which is a bit of a shame. I think multiple routes, you know, leave by the bottom was harder than the top or something like that would have added a bit to the game. But that is one thing that games like the Pyramid that I mentioned have. There are multiple routes through the Pyramid with the different rooms that have different difficulty, so you can sort of go to the rooms you prefer to play. But that's for what it is. This is playable and enjoyable, and it keeps it simple. I don't know where was it. Bonus bomb. It's not going to win any awards for anything special, but if you want a fairly mindless room clear shooter that's responsive, there are definitely worse options than this one. And especially with, I don't think the list includes Robotron because it is a twin stick game. So something similar that works on a single stick would have probably been a welcome addition. I'm wasting my bombs, but they're there to be wasted, and if I get a bonus room I can replenish my bombs. There we go, there we go, there we go. So yeah, I'm probably going to play one game after this one. And then do a part 3 another day. I'm not sure what day. As I'm having the COVID jab on Sunday, it might not be Monday because everybody I know has had one. Says the side effects are quite nasty and just leave you wiped out for a day. Yeah, I do like the room naming. Like I said, it reminds me of a lot of the old computer games where they had fairly amusing room names. I think it's more of a European American thing than a Japanese thing, and I think this is being a Stern game is probably an American development, so it's got that slight extra twist of humour that you don't always get in the Japanese games mixed with the formula. So yeah, it works. Obviously got your rainbow cycly colours. There are quite a lot of good Stern games actually. I know Stern are more known for pinballs, but yeah, there are plenty of good Stern video games. Obviously the famous ones, Berserk and the like. But yeah, this is a 8. I shall close it anyway. And like I say, we're on 2 hours 14 minutes. What type of game do I want to end on though? I could do really badly on another shooter. Could put on something a bit more creative. Question. I need to look at Sky Army at some point to show the bug fix from last year on that. But that's not today's game. I've not really done much in the way of puzzle games, but not feeling a puzzle game right now. I think I'm just going to go with another shooter. Tutankhamun. I need to check. Yeah, Tutankhamun's Konami. I need to check if that's on the no killer list. It's not on either of my 2 playlists at the moment, so it might be on the main list. But I'm going to go with a Kaneko Supernova Shooter from Warashi, Sengeki Striker. You haven't heard Skyrim in a hell of a long time. It's the one Olivia fixed last year, Ryan, by tracking down a single bad bit in the ROM that broke the gameplay. Oh, it was one of the first drivers touched. Ah, I see. But yeah, that turned out to be a bad dump of the ROM, which was affecting the gameplay logic and basically making it unplayable after the first level. Right, so this is one of the Supernova games. It was a bit more annoying to emulate than the other ones because it uses the zoom effect in a different way. It sets a flag which inverts the meaning of how the zoom works and shrinks instead of enlarges and things like that, and changes the precision. So it was one of the last of these Supernova games I got the video fixed up on when I did it many years ago. I'm running the Japanese version because apparently the parent set is just unfairly difficult. It's not going to make me any better at the game, but you know, here we go. Again, it's kind of ugly pre-rendered stuff. Pardon me. But yeah, it's not really the point. There's lots of explosions, lots going on. Got your options, chasey lasers. Maybe a bit too much going on. Yeah, they're definitely the feel of some of the other games from the same developers. I think they did Shinryu, the STV game, Dio. But yeah, it's a very busy shooter, this one. Lots going on, lots of debris flying everywhere. It's showing off, you know, how much CPU power there was with these SH2 boards. You know, it's not struggling at all to just throw this much debris around the screen, and bullets and all sorts. Yeah, I'll look at Skyrim on another stream because it's one I want to give a decent amount of time to. All sorts of power-ups at the same time. There we go. See the lasers firing off now. Look at that. Big, impressive laser. Very smooth movement of your ship too. Feels very responsive. Fairly generic background tune, but can't have it all. But actually a very chilled out tune. Maybe it suits, maybe it keeps you relaxed while you're playing. Don't panic with all the bullets. Vulcan chaser things again. Yeah. So that swaps between the two power-up types if you pick it up. No. I knew something had to get me eventually. Go on. So I think this is another one of those shooters that doesn't actually get played that often. If people play Supernova shooters, they usually go with Kaiven, which is excellent, rather than this one. But this has its own qualities. Small bullets. Lots of small bullets. I think that makes it feel more intimidating because the bullets are small, so you know there's not going to be much leeway on any of the hitboxes. You see them, that is what you've got to avoid. There we go. Nice between level presentation too. Maybe not got quite the variety of power-ups you'd want in a game. Maybe a few more weapon types would have helped rather than just the V and the L. But it doesn't really matter too much. Just means there's probably a little less strategy in terms of choosing the weapons for each stage. It becomes just more about surviving. And I'm not seeing any advanced chain mechanics or anything either, although maybe I just don't know about them. You can see it's a good looking shooter, and it doesn't show any of the major flaws that still exist in the Supernova emulation. There's still some nasty zooming glitches with precision which leave gaps in a lot of things. I was looking at versus Block Breaker, and there's still ugly gaps all over the place in that. And the Jackie Chan game that uses the same chip still got ugly gaps in places. It'd be nice to get those sorted out one day, but it's trickier than you'd think, getting zoom precision exactly right to hardware, knowing which pixels to drop and everything else. It's one of those things you really have to study on real hardware. You know, run tests, note down which pixels get dropped in each situation, what happens with chain sprites versus individual sprites, and complex subject really. You can make a good guess, but you're always usually going to get a case wrong or two if you've not actually measured it. Now it's getting very, very busy, isn't it? And again, it's not slowing down, it's keeping its pace. Well, throwing a lot at me. I think the sound's better than it used to be too. Last time I played this, I remember the sound emulation being quite abrasive. Now it's not. There's still a few clicky noises, but I think they're meant to be there. Oh come on! I'm just losing everything as soon as I spawn again. It's turned into explosive break all over again, or you know, as I like to call it, any shoot 'em up I ever play. I probably should have put the auto fire on, shouldn't I? Some decent effects all over the place. Right, I think this is a boss. Well, the theme changed, so I'm assuming it's a boss. Yeah, big boss time. Enjoy your bomb. I saved it just for you. Apparently I decided I wanted to be the bomb instead. Yeah, some of the weapons are very Raiden Fighters-like, aren't they? Especially these, like when it fires off the lasers. I mean, the bullets aren't really slower paced. The bullets are everywhere. I think Raiden Fighters is probably a bit easier. Yeah, it's a good effort, this, I think. I think maybe this wasn't on the list because there were already a lot of shooters on the list. And the lists have gone more for the A tier cave shooters rather than ones like this, which are probably more a B tier, but still a a very good game. Reverse engineering video and image decoders. The Dragon Gun video thing needs reverse engineering at some point, but I don't have any hints for looking at that. It's probably some compressed video stream, probably compressed static images that make up a video stream. It's got DVI structure to it, but I don't know how the images are compressed in it. That would be a fun one if you fancy looking at something like that, but maybe there are already people looking at it now. I don't know. Anyway, that is going to be it for this stream, because like I said, I have other streams to catch up on, so I don't want to be too late in joining those and miss out on all the early stream fun and any new games they're showing off. So I will continue with a part 3, say one of these days. Could be a week from now, but it could be during next week at any point, really. Probably not going to be tomorrow. I'm not saying it won't be tomorrow, I'm saying it's probably not going to be tomorrow. But I never know. I don't plan these things very well at all, ever. I just kind of go, I feel like streaming something, I'll stream something. But thank you to everybody who's been here. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, R09. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Ryan, as always. And thank you for the donation towards drinks earlier. Ingyu, Takeshi Omoto, and Peter, if you're still listening, thank you for joining. And yes, and also thank you for all having little conversations between yourself too. I've not been able to keep up with all the conversation because there was quite a lot of it and it's quite technical. But it's good to see everybody having a good chat about things and obscure hardware, and that's kind of what brings us together as much as the games, isn't it? It's the obscure pieces of hardware we all remember, and Ryan talking about the paint box, and that obviously meaning something to people here is really good to see. Thank you, Bob, with your facts and your Danish birthdays. Costado, yes, and you're here too. Thank you. Wolfaz, thank you. T-Dog, thank you. Main fan, of course, thank you. Mitchell, thank you. Sorry, I missed you joining earlier. Anybody else? Yeah. Gangrel, of course, yes, Gangrel was here. And Cow, in fact, Cow was here. Cow did say something. And I thought Cow might be here, because Cow is often here. So thank you, Cow, as well. So we've had quite a few people. Rockman, yes, Rockman's gone now, but still good to see Rockman drop by. Andy, who's here. Yeah, so lots of people contributing. Red Hot Mackay. I think we're running out of people that I haven't said hi to, or bye to in this case. So yeah, I think Carlo, of course, Carlo was here earlier. Nikki was lurking earlier, and I'll probably be checking out Nikki's stream shortly. It's one of the ones I look at. Casper, yes, Casper. I think that's probably it. I've scrolled back to the start now. I think I have said, hopefully, bye to everybody who's been here, and thank you as always for being here. Thank you, Joe, and I will see you soon too. And thank you for the help you've been providing, because that might make a big difference too. So, bye bye everybody, and look after yourselves.